Go out to the whole world and proclaim the good news. That's probably the most basic call of every baptized Christian, to announce to the world around them that Christ is alive, that he has saved us from the grip of death and evil by dying on a cross and rising to new life in his resurrection. Why? So that we could be with him in paradise, in heaven, as we hear in the gospel. Today is the feast of St. Mark, our evangelist, the patron saint of the parish here in Springfield. St. Mark, actually, he's quite remarkable for a number of reasons. One, it's believed he was the personal secretary of St. Peter, which is why you see in Peter's letter, he has quite an affection for St. Mark. And second, it is understood that his gospel was the first of them that were written, because so much of the high theological language of John's gospel is stripped away in Mark's gospel. We get a very raw sense of Jesus himself. I mean, for example, in the crucifixion scene, you'll notice in Mark's gospel, Jesus is roaring, crying. He's in ferocious pain and in agony, writhing on the cross. Whereas in John's gospel, Jesus is calm. All is in control. All is going according to plan. Quite a different perspective. So it's very interesting. The main reason, I think, why Mark is quite important, his gospel especially, is that he always calls us always back to the basics. His gospel is basic. It's very, very short. It's to the point, and there's no messing in it whatsoever. Everything is very clear on what Jesus is doing and the shock he is proclaiming to those who are listening and following him. Friends, I think there's a very important invitation for us all here today to do that, to go back to the basics of our faith. Pope Francis said a couple of years ago, Christendom no longer exists. Christendom no longer exists. He's right. And that's something that Venerable Fulton Sheen back in 1974 picked up on as well when he said, and I quote, "We are at the end of Christendom. Not Christianity, not the church, but Christendom. Christendom is economics. It's political, social life that are inspired by Christian principles. That is ending." I think we are seeing that right now as we speak. In other words, everybody, the institutions that govern and run our society are no longer inspired by Christian principles. That's finished. It's over. So I think we should stop pretending that they do, because they don't anymore. Why am I saying that? Simple. Friends, we have to change. We have to change as a church. Big time. And sooner rather than later. Because we're still operating as if Ireland is Christian, and it is not. Let alone Catholic. Never mind that. It's not Christian. That chapter is now closed. We have to wake up to this, folks. This is very serious. And it's true in our parishes as well, where our parishes are the interface, that place in our society where you have the church and the gospels interacting with the secular culture. And we can see that very visibly in our parishes. All over the country, not just here, everywhere. New imagination is now required for us to carry out the basic call of the gospel to spread the good news that Christ is alive. And it matters immensely to us who pay attention to him. We're operating out of a model that fitted very well for Christendom, but not anymore. That's why I think, friends, a good image of the way parishes have become, and I suppose the church in general in this country, we're pot-bound. You know when you put a plant into a pot and we forget to take it out, the roots go all around to each other and the soil, the fertility goes away. I think we've hit that stage in many respects, particularly in our current structures. How we operate as parishes, as a church in Ireland, has to dramatically change, like I said, sooner rather than later. The current model of parish is hopelessly out of date. The time has come and it's now gone for those models. The synodal pathway, folks, that the Holy Father has launched us upon should give all of us a very important wake-up call to do a reality check of what we're doing that works and what doesn't work. And there's a lot not working. We're not creating disciples of Jesus for the world ahead. We're not proclaiming the good news in an attractive way, which is essential to human flourishing. We're just plodding along, sticking to the old ways of doing church. It's as if, I hate to say it, as if our parishes become centers where we get our sacramental fix. I mean, we have 4 churches here in our groupings of parishes, and now there's a 5th one on the way to be added on, all within about a 2.5 kilometer diameter. That's not manageable anymore. It just isn't. It's beyond management at this point. Sentimentality and emotional ties to buildings needs to change to a sentimentality and a emotional tie to Jesus Christ, not just buildings and structures. A mind shift is needed here, friends. Because let's face it, we are addicted to Mass here in Ireland. I mean, one of the things I often say is we can't have a cup of tea in Ireland without having a Mass celebrated somewhere. We're just doing it, just running through the emotions of it. I mean, we're not men and women of convictions, if we're going to be brutally honest with it. Both those who claim to be followers of Jesus, but they're afraid to be vocal about Christ to their family and their friends, in case they upset someone, or someone is outraged, whatever. And it's the same for those who call themselves Catholics on paper only, but they bring the children for sacraments, because they have to do it. They're in second class, they're in sixth class. Conveyor belt. No prayer life though. No support to the parish, or all they want is, it seems, just that the church gives them the sacraments when they want it, full stop. That's a vicious cycle, folks. That's the pot-bound element I'm talking about here. It's a model that doesn't work. We have to change it. We've got to have a new mindset to let cultural Catholicism die in this country. It's strangling our parishes from growing into vibrant communities of faith and love for Jesus and for each other, and to share all that with the world around us, and how it is extraordinarily good news and so important. We better wake up, friends, to the reality that we are in a new apostolic age in Ireland and in the West. Both in our parishes and in our personal lives, we have to begin to reflect this. We have to grow into an apostolic mindset for our age, in order to help us to recover that bright hope of the first Christians we saw in the medieval in the Mediterranean world, like Saint Mark, who had the guts to face that new and harsh pagan world around him with a conviction of faith that armed him with the truth that Christ is alive and there's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of. And he did so to the point of giving his life for Jesus. That's discipleship, what we're called to in a new apostolic age. Do we have the courage to do the same again? St. Mark, the evangelist, pray for us.